Welcome to episode 2 of Skate to the Truth. Our names are Swara,
Graces.
Omarian.
Troy.
And I am. In this episode, we analyze chapters 8 to 14. We talk about the disturbing abuse in St. Jerome's, the juxtapositions between the natural world and the man-made residential schools, and the symbolic importance of the net fishing scene. We also make connections to experiences from Stolen, surviving St. Michael's, and discuss how intergenerational trauma shapes the characters. Finally, we share some predictions about where Saul's story might go next. Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
So I guess we can just go around and if there's anything major you guys want to discuss first, like last time, you can go. Who wants to go first?
Chapter 12 was like disturbing in a sense. Like when I was using an audiobook to listen to it and or like YouTube, and like I was just hearing some of the stuff. It was like insane how like a girl like put rocks in her like clothes and then went to a lake, and then like another girl legitimately just went crazy after the fact of just like being woken up in like the middle of the night
It
just
was
to
crazier how young they were.
Yeah.
Like they were like 6, 7. Okay.
No.
6-ish. The little kid who
yeah.
what did he do? Did he like jump off somewhere?
He
Didn't one of them hang themselves?
Yeah,
Yeah,
or something
yeah,
like
They
that.
like
he
tied
was
themselves
6.
not even by like their neck or anything. It was by their hands and they hung.
And it's the fact that like someone that young can't even think of that.
Yeah.
Like I think it
Exactly.
really speaks to like,
Yeah, like
the
that-
torture they were going through.
Like I think because it shows him hanging by his hands, right? He probably didn't even know how to do it. He just like heard maybe the phrase like hanging yourself to kill
Yeah,
yourself, and he
yeah.
did it by his hands, and it probably was way longer.
And he was like,
Painful.
wasn't he being like braided over his like medical
Yeah.
condition?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh
that was
my
so messed up.
god! Like,
Like-
the one where he was like sniffling, they like tied his hands behind his back and like made him just like sit in front of everyone, just like sniffling. Like that was actually like that has to be like that's so disturbing.
Yeah.
That is. It's like the age for me. Like, how are you supposed to like know that you can't do that? Or like, it's like not even that he can't do that. It's a medical condition, you know. Like he can't stop it, and he's
Yeah.
6. Like, how can he not do that?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really crazy how like I feel even outside of school, because obviously like in the younger grades you can't really show this type of content for the education, but like outside of that and then like government like articles and reports and stuff about residential schools, they don't even get into this much detail, and I feel like it's like kind of a sanitization of what actually happened.
Yeah, I think we often hear about like, oh, children were abused, whatever. But hearing it in like the first person like account like this, it's like
Yeah.
it's really messed up. It feels horrible.
Yeah. Another thing was how the grandma died.
Oh yeah,
Do you guys have any thoughts about that?
I found it like
very unfortunate.
it was unfortunate, but it felt bittersweet in a sense where she gave like her life for him to like continue.
Yeah.
But like it was unfortunate like how he was sent to a residential school after that. But it was kind of like how I felt it was a way of them like to their culture and how like the earth takes, but it also like gives in a sense where even though like where he went was horrible, he still lived after that, right? So it's like the earth took away like something, but gave in return of the kid's life, because he would have died otherwise in like the cold as well.
Yeah.
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 And it was really interesting how like they described the entire journey, like all of the components of nature. It was described as like alive, like the cold and the snow were described as
Yeah.
beasts,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and everything was alive. That was
Yeah,
really
and when he was
interesting.
talking about the river, he was like the river was like stabbing us. Like it was
Yeah.
very like you could feel it. And also in the sense where I'm pretty sure like it was one of the last things they talked about when he was freezing and his grandma was like trying to like give him like moss and like try to cover
Yeah.
him up, and he was like, oh, like what about you? And she was like, oh, I'm fine, whatever. It's just like
Yeah,
it shows
Yeah.
like her
Kind of like
nurturing.
a foreshadowing of like
well-
how
What was that word that she used? Like she has.
gumption or something.
Yeah, did you
like
search that up?
that? No, I didn't. But I made a note of it. So I was
May
gonna
or
give
may
it.
not have searched that up either. So I can actually look it up right now. It means skewed or spirited. Can you read this?
Skewed or spirited initiative and resourcefulness. So.
She's basically saying I have my
Yeah,
strong will.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she has her
Yeah.
will to keep her alive.
Yeah.
Something with the vocab, and you guys like stated it a bit with like kind of like when they were in nature, it felt so natural in a sense. Like they were describing everything as like beasts and stabbing and all these things that like nature kind of
Yeah.
does, and they felt like normal. But when you get to like the like residential schools, they started using words like obedience, discipline, and they started talking about like the more gruesome stuff that are more like more human in a sense, where it's like it's not something that happens naturally in like nature. And it felt you can see a shift in like the words where at the start it felt like, oh, this is more of a like a forest based like story, right? But when you get to these schools, it's like this is like human civilization, and that's I kind of saw like a shift
Yeah.
there in a sense.
And I'm pretty sure, I might be misquoting this, but he was talking about a kid that had like a fracture or something, and he was like, oh, the brick of his
Yeah,
spine. Like, I feel like that there's
Yeah.
a definite like shift in like the wording.
And also just the way that he describes the residential school when he gets in it, like the imagery he describes and the smell, everything, like it's very chemical and man-made.
bleach, yeah.
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 Along with that kid, that was messed up too about like what they made him. I forgot. Like his bone molded due to his like an injury he had as a kid, but that was because there's no like hospitals near him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At the residential schools, they made him. Do you guys remember? Like,
Yeah.
what did they make him do?
Didn't they just like is it the sniffling kid?
No, it was the guy that broke his. I think it was leg or was it arm? It was something he broke, and then it like molded back into like a different. You guys know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, yeah. I know
Okay.
what you're talking about. I don't remember what that was.
It was the girl who went crazy, the guy who was sniffled and tied with ropes. Where a trap had sprung close to his ankle.
Yeah.
His family lived so far back in the bush they couldn't get him to a hospital. So the break in his bone had healed all raised and calcified, leaving a ring beneath his skin like the bump on a sturgeon's back. He always had a runny nose. No, that's the same guy.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
the sniffling
really?
guy.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. That's actually great.
Him connecting it back to like the sturgeon.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, like he connects everything back to nature in their traditional ways. Like
Yeah.
every possible chance that he gets, there's a connection there.
Yeah. But a lot of the kids, I think he mentioned there, look at him as like an outsider because he knows
Yeah.
English and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
I mean, like, you're, like, imagine being, like, in a residential schools where, like, oh, the system is already against you, but then the people there who are supposed to be, like, your group, the minority, are also against you.
Yeah.
Or, like, they think of you as an outsider, too, so there's, like, literally nobody there who understands him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess there's also like bound to be like a little more like resentment, you know? Like if you're a child being abused and like you're trying to be pushed to like be this one thing and someone is already like more aligned with that like archetype than you,
Yeah.
it's like you kind of have this like natural resentment.
And then he also like talks about how he tries to escape by he reads a lot of books and he keeps to himself a lot. So that might look to the other children there that he's trying to be like assimilated. So
He thinks he's better than us.
yeah.
Yeah. Do you guys think that the teachers would, or like the priests and the nuns, they would favor him because of his like ability to, I think, speak
I
English
think-
or just like be studious?
I think like from the past, it's because his mom is Christian, right? Because you know that
Yeah.
from his brother
Yeah.
and how they went. I feel like he knew a lot more about like the religion than other kids, and that gave him like not favored, obviously, but more an advantage of like trying to get by. Like he can just like pretend to continue because like he's still with his like tradition, right? Because especially if this is set in the past, he still remembers all his old traditions and what he used to say, meaning that
Yeah.
he's still stuck to his culture at the end of the day, right?
Yeah.
But then because he has that like background of like Christianity, he's able to fake it a lot better because that's his mom taught him that too. If his mom didn't teach him that, that's weird. But his mom probably
Yeah.
taught him Christianity when he was younger, so he understood all the things. He knew how to speak English, meaning that when he was in those classes, he had the less chance of being like beat for speaking like his own language. He was able to understand people's like, what did they call it? When they used to like speak, they used like mouthing to. It was
So
it was spikes. I don't
I don't
remember.
remember specifically, but
It was
Yeah,
like,
it's like when people do the puppets and stuff.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
oh my gosh, what's the word?
Wait,
for
I
it?
remember. Like it was.
I'm not speaking different. Somewhere here. Yeah, ventriloquism.
Yeah, ventriloquism.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like, he was able to understand that eventually, right? But he already had that like advantage of speaking
The
English.
foundation.
Exactly. So I don't think he would be favored. Rather, he would be just less likely to be in trouble just because he has those roots. In a sense.
I think even when they were brought in and they were like getting renamed, like the nuns
Yeah.
are like, oh, you already have like a good Christian name, and then the other kid he had to change his name. So I feel like that also like connects back to like the resentment, like, oh, I had to change my name, but this guy's he's already good to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like after that, I don't think there's any mention of him interacting with any of the nuns, the priests after that first interaction. So it kind of shows how he's kind of the thing that he talks about as being unseen and like a dot in the room is really working for him. And also like with him reading books and stuff, the nuns encourage him to do it. So he's on their good terms.
Yeah. Speaking of the nuns, I thought it was really interesting again, like kind of how he viewed them. Like he was describing one of them, and he was like, she had the eyes of a husky or something. Like it's really interesting
Yeah.
how he connects everything back to its like sort of roots.
Yeah.
With the nuns, shoot, I was gonna say something. Wait, what was I saying? My lord, he seems to be like really well equipped to adapt to situations though. Like as you can tell, like, because I don't think he's from what they've described. He hasn't been hit yet, right? He hasn't been like physically abused yet.
He's just like witnessing abuse.
Exactly, right? So at the timing, he already knows he shouldn't cry at night. Like he already has picked that up that like he doesn't want them to see him cry just because he'll know he'll be beat. And that's not even from like his experience, that's just him observing. And it shows like how like strong spirited he is in a sense where he's like already knowing the system that he went into.
Yeah.
This could be from his brother like telling him how it was in there as well, but like it just shows like how more stronger spiritually rather than physically he is in a
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
What did you guys think about that one chapter when they went to the small river and they saw the fish?
They went like fishing and they grabbed the fish and
Yeah.
then
And they started crying.
Oh yeah.
honestly like it's like okay, torture wise it's so much worse when you know that there's something else out there or you know that there's like things beyond yourself. Like imagine a theoretical situation, you're stuck in a room, black box for the rest of your life, and if you're just in that black box without any knowledge of the outside world, you probably think that's your life, right? But then it's so much worse like leaving it for like 5-10 seconds, seeing how much greater you could live, and then being sent back to that box because now you're stuck with those memories of I could have left, I could have had freedom, this is the life I could have had. And it's so much more psychologically harmful to like the children because they see these fish, they see like what their culture and what they could be doing rather than being forcefully sent back, holding the thing of their freedom just to feed. Because I'm guessing they're not eating that fish at the end of the day either.
Yeah. And then at the end of it, there was just like a sense of like togetherness where they like cried together and they were like acknowledging like what was happening to them like together rather than being like individuals. And like it was, I feel like it was like kind of like a big thing for Soul too because like he was a part of that. He was there and there was like a tiny bit of like a shift where he was like actually being accepted in that
Yeah.
like a small scene over there.
I mean, a sense of community can be like a huge like
Yeah.
motivator, you know, like knowing you're not alone.
Another thing, I think they kind of saw themselves in the fish. At first, when they were getting the fish, they were happy. Like, it probably brought back some memories of what they used to do. But he talks about, like, the imagery of the fish, like, gasping for breath and struggling once they're inside the baskets. And then that's when the tone kind of shifts and they get sad because they start seeing themselves in the fish of being taken out the stream and now like they're somewhere else, somewhere that they're not supposed to be. The fish are on land and they can't survive there. They're gasping for breath and it's like they're being tortured. And then all the children start to cry and then they don't take any fish home with them. They put them back in the stream because they see themselves in the fish.
That's
I
really
did not-
interesting.
That's like
Yeah, I
a
didn't think of
really
that.
good like comparison, or like
Yeah.
is that symbolism in a sense, or
Yeah.
yeah, that's like
Didn't they say that though? I thought they.
it
did.
said symbolism.
No,
Yeah,
no.
he kind of
like-
he kind of talked about it, but he
Yeah, a
didn't
little
make
bit.
the direct connection.
Yeah.
Interesting. Are there any like specific things that you guys have questions about? Cause when I was reading it, I think when I was reading about like the abuse with other children, I feel like it was only natural that it was gonna next, like he was gonna be the victim, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Like I feel like that was like the natural progression of that.
Do you guys think the rock that split the canoe has any symbolism?
When the grandma,
Nothing.
it's the one. That was chapter 9 or 8. It was the one where they were on the stream and the rock hit the canoe and then
The water came like flooding
Yeah.
in.
yeah.
I think we might learn about it later, but I don't really have anything right now.
Learn about it and what? What do you think it could represent?
I don't know. Like, there's always things that could be revealed.
So mysterious, so mysterious.
Something different that I thought was like, you know how in the podcast, they were like, oh, when we got there, they gave us like numbers and they referred to us using numbers. But here they like they
Wait, sorry,
did
are you
change this.
talking about the Connie Walker podcast?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
I can
So
see.
they like in the residential schools, they like refer to us using numbers and like all the clothes were labeled with numbers they had. But then over here, they didn't give him like a number, but they changed his name to something more Christian.
Yeah.
That was like a difference that I found there.
This could be due to like time frame wise. Like I don't know when did it say when this book is set.
1960s.
When did they first open?
Like 1850s,
Damn, bro.
1840s, and probably earlier in like unofficial.
Yeah. I think it could also be just like the scale of the school itself, you know?
Yeah.
If kids are running away a lot easier, it's probably not the biggest school. in a
Yeah,
sense. If-
probably like smaller schools, they can call them by their names. Like, it's not that hard, but I feel like nuns and priests wouldn't put in the effort to learn everyone's names, so they would just assign numbers at bigger schools.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I guess there's also giving a number, you're taking away someone's identity.
Yeah.
Giving them a name, you're replacing their identity.
Yeah.
There's just like the difference between that.
Oh shoot, I was gonna say something again. I forgot. Mine was a prediction though. I feel like so this is gonna connect back to the podcast where it was the Connie Walker podcast where he started playing sports. I feel like this kid will either find like a sport to play in the book or maybe something else in a sense just because of how he's been portrayed so far as like strong spirited, and we know from like other podcasts that we've like listened to where people that normally play sports, they get better food, they get treated better, they get to they have a higher chance of survival, right? So just from based on his personality, his identity, I feel like he's gonna draw himself to like a sport. I don't know what it would be. Like this is set in like an icy Arctic area.
Yeah, it could be hockey.
It could be hockey. It could be. Is there snowboarding? I don't know.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Maybe. It might
I
be
doubt
like.
they have like the
I feel like.
funds.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it might be like an ice sport at least, but I feel like he's gonna go into like an ice sport and, cause just from how he wants.
Does your teacher not like you people or something? How come you guys
Oh.
always out in the hallway?
We really like having this space.
Yeah, it's quiet. Bye, Mr. But yeah,
Um,
yeah.
I think it's kind of already set up for him to go towards like academics, like he's already reading a lot of books. So I think, yeah, it's probably possible that he could also go into sports, but I think he's leaning towards books and being an
Yeah,
academic.
I was gonna say this like a similar thing. Like, wouldn't the teacher still like look out for him if he's like studious and if he's actually doing stuff that
Yeah.
they want him to do?
Yeah.
But I don't think they're gonna feed him better though. Like that's the thing.
Yeah,
Like
true.
it makes sense. Like I understand that point of view of him wanting to like be more studious, which is something he is doing.
Mm-hmm.
But in the sense, he's not going to be fed better food. He's going to be fed better food if he's like doing a sport. And
Yeah,
that's my reasoning behind that. Like I
Yeah.
feel like he's to survive and retain his culture. He's probably going to do something that's going to have a higher chance of survival, where people would favor him. And the only way that we've heard so far that it's possible is from like sports.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like when he was with his grandmother, like that was the theme, like
Yeah.
survival. Like they're doing everything they can to survive the cold. They run out of food. It's
Dairy soup.
yeah. So I think that grit is still with him, and he's gonna do anything he can to survive in the residential school. He's never gonna give up.
Yeah, but that also makes me think like, what's like the big climax gonna be? Because he's basically set up for like success right now, right?
Yeah.
Like he's apart from the other children, but it's like we already know where he's gonna end up eventually.
Yeah.
So it's like it really makes you think about what it could be.
He's
Yeah.
in a he's in where is he right now? Like he's in a home. It's a what's it
Kind of
called?
like a rehab center, I think it says here. Hold on. Reluctant resident in a treatment center, so kind of just
Yeah.
like some sort of rehab.
What do you guys think happened to his parents?
I feel like they would bring his parents back sometime in
Yeah.
the novel.
Yeah.
They honestly could have been killed.
Could
Like
have-
not like, cause just because of like how like indigenous peoples were like represented back then.
Mm-hmm.
If yeah, she was Christian in a sense, but they could have just they could have like tried their family in a sense. So like imagine you like you're owner of a residential school and one of the kids leave and their family comes back but the kid's dead now. They probably would have charged the family with
Yeah,
some
true.
with some sort of like
Yeah.
oh you probably killed the kid or something like that and then sent them to jail because at the end of the day they're just going to think that indigenous peoples are primitive and from that they probably thought that they did something and they sent them to jail and that's probably why they didn't come back.
I
Yep.
feel like that's also why sorry, were you gonna say something?
You continue.
I feel like that's also why I get like an ominous vibe when he like talks about him, because I think in one of the chapters he was like, I get a flashback to like my parents, like I see them leaving on their canoe, something.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's just I think it supports your theory. Yeah, continue.
Also, like, to the thing that they could be put in jail is it was illegal for you not to give your kid to the residential school, right?
Yeah.
So if a kid runs away and then the parents come back with his body, then they could say, oh, you took this kid out of the school, that's illegal, you go to jail now. Because they went to the church to have the brother buried, right? So the priest there probably affiliated with residential schools, and they see that, and I think that's plausible that they went to jail.
Yeah, I see that happening.
Wasn't there like an uncle with them too? Would he get in trouble? Because technically he's not his kid.
I feel like at the end of the day the
Yeah, they
government's just
could-
going to stereotype all of them
Yeah,
into
they
one
could
group.
bend the
Yeah.
law and just put everyone in jail, and nobody would come looking for them.
Yeah. Well, also like speaking towards like settlers and like indigenous people, there's a different sense of family, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They could also have died maybe like God's like the whole vibe of the place is that you have to be in the family to go there, and maybe it's like a betrayal to say, oh, they're gonna go and they're gonna bury this child as a Christian, so maybe they died on their way out.
Yeah. With the Christianity, I found it really interesting how like committed the mother was still, even though her son had like got I think it's tuberculosis, yeah.
Yeah.
Because of like a thing that the Catholic Church set up. Like it's
Yeah.
very interesting how she's still very committed to that.
Yeah, it's like the level of like brainwashing and abuse she probably went through.
Yeah.
Like that girl who walked in that one chapter, and she was like very proud, and then after like a few days of abuse and like being forced to just recite and recite and recite, she went crazy, and like her spirit was completely broken.
Yeah. That's the thing, it's not necessarily even physical abuse, like the psychological torture people go through, like
Yeah.
that sticks with you. Like his mother survived, right? But she still has like the remnants of
Yeah.
what she went through.
And like she's still like mumbling sometimes like, oh, the school.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think for me, just from that entire like chapter 12, like the girl kind of stuck with me in a sense where it felt the most like she didn't physically like be hurt in a sense. Just like her trauma was she was forced and she over time broke her sanity down and she's just lost all sense of self. And I feel she kind of symbolizes the effects of how indigenous peoples are today in a sense where a lot of them people are like, why do we always like fund them? Why do we always like why are we still doing this? But at the end of the day, she's like a perfect example of how she may have not gone she probably did, but she may have not gone through abuse from how the story's telling. But her mind has fractured so much that she's just insane now.
Yeah.
And it's symbolizing how people in this day and age, they're still going through this, but not physically. They're going through it mentally, just from generations of like trauma from the parents, making the kids maybe ending up like this one day, just because, not because the parents are like abusing them in a sense, just because the parents have been so hurt that they're starting to do the same thing. Well, there was in Surviving St. Michael's. I'm so sorry. You know, in Surviving St. Michael's, one of the dads, they turned into a sexual abuser.
Yeah, Uncle Ivan.
Yeah.
Yeah, he like obviously he wouldn't want that to do, but from his mental like breakdown and his physical breakdown as well, that was the only way of him to like express it, and he wouldn't have done that otherwise. Like he would only be exposed to that from those residential schools, and I feel like it just like connects in that sense.
Because like he's the one that went to the sanatorium at like 3 years old
Yeah.
because he had tuberculosis, and like they talked about how he's already disconnected from his family and he was already facing sexual abuse inside that sanatorium. And then also they said every single day in school he was sexually abused. So it probably got to the point that he thought that was a normal thing that would happen to children, and he did it to the children in his family after he got out.
Yeah, so it started like super early for him, like
Yeah.
at 3-ish, right?
It's like all he knows his entire life.
Yeah.
It's like what Ayana was talking about, like the box, you know?
Yeah.
Like that's a part of what he knows, so that's all he's gonna ever view it as. I think, yeah, also explicitly like learning about the actual like generational trauma, like you hear about it like, oh, generational trauma gets passed on, but these are like specific things we're hearing about. And I feel like
Yeah.
you can really think about how that might affect, like if that woman has kids, right? That's
Yeah.
really just gonna, yeah, it's horrible.
Like maybe she'll force her kids to recite things too, and like even in the school they said that she was beaten every time that she messed up a recitation in the classroom, so like that might carry on with her kids as well, and then like somebody has to break that cycle somehow. Yeah. What do you guys have any predictions for the future?
I think I already talked about that.
My prediction is he'll play sports. That's
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I get the sports theory, but I think I'm on more of the literary
Yeah.
side.
With the literal like the lit side, what do you think? Like, because like you were saying, the climax. Because a story can't, like you know what I mean. Like a book and a story always has like a climax in a sense where this is someone's life, right? But how people get people interested and to read books is they normally have like a change, a shift, right, where people go down in
Yeah.
a sense. And I feel like this book won't have like a happy ending, but the end point would be like him being able to heal from his trauma in a sense, right? So I feel like he still has to go through something. So with your approach, how do you think he's going to like go through that like downhill? Like where do you think that's going to happen?
I think he's gonna be in this like sort of pursuit of like being like the perfect student, I guess, you
Yeah.
know, because I feel like that's what the book's sort of setting up right now. And I don't know, like anything could happen, like maybe like a specific, maybe he'll be abused at one point, right?
Yeah.
And it'll be like this realization, like, oh, I did everything right, but I still can't like make these people happy.
Yeah.
And that's what sort of like leads him down to his like path of like alcoholism, you know?
Yeah, I think that's a really good idea that he gets abused, but then also.
Okay, wait. I want you to take that back for a second.
I think that's a really good theory
Informative,
for
yeah.
what happens, and to add on to that, I think that when you realize, oh, I can't do anything to make these people happy, even when I'm the perfect student, and that kind of inspires him to try to escape, like his brother. And I feel like there's gonna be some building up to that with him having like visions and just spiritual interaction with his brother, and that prompts him to escape. And I think there's gonna be like some sort of tragedy that happens during the escape.
Yeah.
And in terms of the ending of the book, I don't really.
Okay.
I don't really think that they're gonna make it so that he's healed and like he's reconciled with it, because like in the real world it still hasn't been healed and it still hasn't been
Yeah.
reconciled. So I think they're gonna do some sort of reflection of that.
I think in also the First Contact, right?
Yeah.
There was that one guy Ron, and he was like very racist, but like he connected his racism to like something else. Like he was like, I don't like indigenous people because they don't care about their houses. And even when he saw like the fixed up houses and stuff, he still didn't like them because the real reason was the racism, right? So I feel like that really connects back to this thing where even if he like does everything that the school wants him to do, they're still not gonna like him. He's still
Yeah.
not gonna be like one of them.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I really like that idea.
Yeah.
No, yeah, like a similar idea.
With that, I forgot what this genre of thinking is called. It's called like for debating, right?
Genre
People,
of thinking.
I don't know how to
We're getting
describe it.
philosophical here.
So like with Ron. Wait, this is kind of off topic though. Okay, with Ron, like there's a thing called moving the goalpost. This is for like normally when you're debating and like you have a back and forth exchange.
Yeah.
But it's people still do it, and moving the goalpost is just like changing what it is to win in a sense. So for Ron, he was like, "Oh, I don't like indigenous people because of this," and that was his original like claim.
Yeah.
But then later on, when he's shown that that's like challenged and it could, like is wrong, he moves the goalpost in a sense where it's like, oh, maybe that's not exactly why, right? And then it still leads back to his racism, but he's just saying different things for like people to like be like, oh, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong.
Yeah.
Or, like,
Rather
just
than-
excuses for like saying like he's not being racist, but he is being racist.
Yeah.
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 Like they try to justify it by basing it on like real world things, like on facts, like oh the incarceration rate, oh the homelessness, whatever, and they're trying to rationalize the racism based off that when it really isn't based off anything. It's irrational.
Is there anything else we could go over? It was chapters 8 to 14, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I also thought it was a very interesting decision to have like the last two chapters be very short.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like it was really powerful, like what he was stating in that about like his experience.
Yeah.
It was really interesting.
So on page 37, right?
37?
So it's like talking about how like the old lady like put him into a corpse of like cedars, right? And so remember when you said like they described his like spine as like brick,
Yeah.
right? And I feel you can see like kind of a comparison in the sense where it's like corpse of cedars, like you don't really say plants are like dead with corpses. That's more of like a human characteristic,
Yeah.
right? And it's kind of a is it juxtaposition or is it I forgot. It's like a comparison between things.
Between like the residential school and nature.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a juxtaposition.
Yeah, and as you can see, as we get closer to the residential school, because this is chapter 10, chapter 11 is the residential school, you can see like the vocab switching from more of a nature vibe of beasts, like sharp, into like more of a residential school vibe. Because you can see how he described like the nun as a husky. Do you guys remember what page that was? Is that chapter 11?
But okay, even in first page
Yeah.
of chapter 11, it says 4-story red brick building. There was no trees around it, only ground shrubs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It sounded like a moose disappearing into a shrub. And I feel like as you can, between like the chapters of like 10 and 11 and like a bit around that,
Yeah.
you see the vocab switching from mostly a nature vibe from mostly a human vibe. Because like, you can still see he's describing the residential school as a moose. He's saying like, it sounds like a moose, right? But then later on, he describes like the nun as a husky, which is in the earlier chapters, right? When he first sees the nun, right? Hello.
What's happening here?
So what? And then near the end, he's like fully saying like, "Oh, the spine is made of like brick in a sense." And I feel like just between those chapters, he's changing his vocab from describing things more of a nature. Like he'll still always describe it as like nature and his
Yeah.
culture, but you can see there's like a definite shift where he's describing nature as more of a human and like industrial thing.
Yeah.
And just rereading this page of 42, connecting back to his culture, he says, the empty drum of her chest.
Mm.
You know?
Yeah.
It's like, I feel like, do you think it's gonna progress? Like the sort of verbal change, like is he gonna be completely disconnected from like the natural sense? Because right now we see like there's a transition, but it's not like a complete like.
Yeah, I think like back to what you were talking about of like the realization that he's gonna hit. I think it's gonna progress towards that of him stop using those descriptions and getting further and further away from that, and then like it's kind of a breaking point, and then he goes back to how he was before.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty good.
And I feel like connecting back to, I think you mentioned this last time, of how he's gonna escape the school, right?
Yeah.
I feel like the journey from that, obviously, he's gonna go to nature. I feel like that's gonna be his like sort of path to reconnection.
Yeah, like, and I think there's gonna be other characters too that like he makes friends with, and maybe they're gonna feel lost, and then like he's gonna hear the call to him like Saul, Saul, and he's gonna find the path like how he found it with his grandma.
Yeah.
And maybe like something that makes him fall down even more is like, you know how you were predicting that he would run. Maybe he gets caught, so that's like, then he gets into like more trouble, more punishments, and like that makes him like fall in deeper with his like psychological like trauma.
Kind of like lose his like
Yeah.
golden boy status,
Yeah.
you know?
It's like a slippery slope too, because if he's not able to keep up like this persona of like never like always keeping up his best performance of like just like being like a Christian boy, and he slips one time, he's gonna slowly start like losing that touch. Because if he keeps getting abused over and over, and then each time he gets abused, it's harder for him to keep that persona. Like he'll start slipping a bit more, and eventually he's just gonna on a daily basis get abused, and then from there he's not gonna be able to like go back to once he was. I feel like a lot of like for example, the girl like that's modest, she was modest when she came in, but then over time they like every mistake she made, like they hit her right
Yeah.
when she was reciting, and over time that just broke her to get her hit even more and more and more, and then she just completely went insane after that.
Yeah. It's just kind of conditioned someone to be that way. Like even if she gets out of residential school, every single mistake is gonna weigh on her like that. You know, you connect it to that sense of like being punished.
Yeah.
Anything else that we need to discuss?
I think we went over the major questions, our predictions, our points.
Connections.
Sorry?
Say connections.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alongside, remember when I look at like with the prediction of like his family going to jail, right? On page 45, remember when the truck driver, or no, it was the priest. The priest and the other kid was talking, and he was like, talking about like, I don't want the father, or like I don't want Jesus, I want my father. But he's saying
Yeah.
like he's a trapper, he's a heathen, he's Ojibwe,
Yeah.
right? And you can see that sense of just like dehumanization and like labeling someone as Ojibwe as a bad thing in this to justify the means, in a sense.
And now like, oh, he's not your father anymore. The only father is the Holy Father in this
Yeah.
building.
And going back to the parents thing, I don't like the theory that they go to jail or die or something. But I feel like in a sense it would be poetic if we just never find out what happened to them, because that is like the reality for a lot of
Yeah.
like families, you know, of indigenous children. They don't know what happened to them ever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's the same with his sister.
And I don't see how like it could majorly affect the plot unless he like goes back to them.
Yeah, true.
Oh, they never brought up the sister after she was taken away, right?
It could
No.
symbolize the sense of just how, like you said, residential schools, a lot of people don't know what happened to them. Like, for example, like, she could represent the population of, like, missing and murdered indigenous women and girls, right? Where the sense that after she's gone, she's never talked about it again. She's not brought up
Yeah.
again. And that could represent that part. Then his father, he had a flashback in the residential school of his, like, family, right?
Mm,
Yes, did they,
yeah.
they mention
like
it, right?
of them leaving on the canoe.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for his family, they represent like the general population of people that go missing, where he's still getting flashbacks, still remembering that in a sense. And I'm not saying like the girl's life is like like there's nothing. I'm not saying it like that. It's just the sense where she's representing that portion of like the indigenous view, and then his family's representing like the people that go missing. That
Yeah.
they still think about them like every day, but they're never actually gonna be found again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the way women going missing is more, I guess, like normalized.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because it did hit them a lot harder when
The
his
brother was taken.
Yeah.
I think we should be good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.